Okay, so you just saw the two-player game of us getting our butts whooped by Ultron and his 8,000 minions, and as you know, we actually, I don't know if it was the best deck building, but we actually didn't play starter decks with that, and we got hammered pretty hard, so I don't know if we were just super unlucky.
Well, that was our first game where we actually deck built, so I mean, and we didn't look online for like pre-made
maximum, and maybe there's a combination of heroes that would have been a little better. But that being said, I'm pretty sure he's probably just pretty tough, and it might not be an easy battle until a few more cards come out for certain traits or whatever, because I don't know about Jeb, but I saw myself putting in some cards that were literally just going to be for resources. Like, as nice as like Helicarrier is and Avengers Mansion, those are really nice, but until we see some cards that either reduce the cost significantly of those cards or you know, and or beef up your hand so that you just have a ton of resources, it's a luxury to get those,
and especially
to get those out.
Like towards end game, there's no way you're gonna drop it on something like that. So
you know, even some of the allies like Nick Fury or something with a 4 cost. I mean, shoot, the only person that can afford it is freaking Captain Marvel, and with her, you know, her 3 resource card, and that you want to save up for some of her super powerful attacks. So, you know,
Fury reminds me of Gandalf, except in Lord of the Rings there was actually that one that the I think purple color can like bring him out. Like he comes out, uses effect, and at the end of the turn he goes away. Like it's not like you have to actually pay the full cost for him. So it's like if something like that was in this game for Nick Fury, then
I suspect there'll be some interesting cards coming to help with some of these things. But like I said, we got our butts whooped, and since this is the review, I'll just tell you straight off the bat, it is, for me, and I'll let Jeb answer for himself because I talk for him a lot, that it is definitely a thumbs up, and it was probably more than I was hoping that they were going to do.
Oh, yeah. Thumbs up for me. I'll get it in while I can.
Yeah, so, like, so if you're familiar with some of the other games that we talked about during the intro and things like that, like, so some of the things they did different, like, the hero and the alter ego, you don't see that in any of the other games.
Right.
The difference in it, and with that mechanic with flipping and stuff like that and changing your hand size and those types of things, totally new. Some of the other even the paying for the cards this time. Before, both of the other games have some kind of token resource that you use. Now it's all, there is no more tokens for that. The only thing you're using tokens for is literally damage, the threat on the cards, and then
random counters for random cards.
Yeah, like just like countdown tokens or whatever.
Yeah.
So most of the time, that type of thing. So they eliminated that economy in it and just put all the economy on the cards. It works really well because it really makes you have to make some tough decisions with the cards in your hand, because you're kind of not going to go through a turn and not do something with your cards. You're going to pay for something and do something, because if you don't, you're pretty hosed. Like, you can't really waste a turn. So in turn, that makes you really think about, okay, is it worth getting rid of this card?
That's like with the Mansion or the Helicarrier, because you're pretty much going to be dropping your whole hand just to bring that one thing out.
Right,
and
right,
it's
exactly.
Like, well, it better be worth it if I'm going to waste my turn.
Right.
So.
And
or most of my turn.
And both of us suspect as the game goes on that the decks are going to be, like we mentioned, like we were able to, just because it's the starter deck, or at least in our opinion, put in some cards that we knew were just fodder to start with. As the game progresses with new cards, I feel like you're going to have a pretty solid deck where everything is, useful. Not that things won't be situational, but
right.
there's going to be times when it's like, oh, I know I'm going to need this later, but I got to pay for this right now. I mean, we're playing now, and both of us are kind of like, sure, it would be nice to get Helicarrier or Avengers Mansions out, but we really don't care because they're not that important, and see ya.
Yep.
Whereas I feel like in the future, it's like, this is really going to be good late game, so... But if I don't do this now, I'm probably hosed, so I got to do it now. And, you know, maybe I hope for a reshuffle, which is bad, but, you know, sometimes you need to do it. So, what else was a little different that you liked?
Well,
or even similar that you liked the way they incorporated it.
I like the... Well, one of the things I really liked was, I mean, I hate it when it happens in the game, but the, your whole side quest, your personal, like, villain side quest for each hero. Because, I mean, it's really cool thematically, because it's like, oh, I'm going to go stop Rhino because he's, like, trying to break into a bank, but then, oh, look at that, like, my actual arch nemesis shows up to screw with me.
Mess with you. And along the same lines, really unique feature having the obligations.
Yeah.
In the enemy deck, so like just so thematic to have in the middle of, you know, everything that's going on, and Peter Parker gets an eviction notice that he has to deal with. The other thing about those obligations is the way that they basically force you to go into a exhausted state for your next turn. I mean, you better be 100% sure you're going to win the next turn if you're willing to risk putting that thing back in the deck. That's our opinion anyways. I mean, I don't know, maybe other people have played through it, but I just, personally, I just feel like really you're going to risk taking another card off the top of that awful deck and keep that thing in the deck?
Yeah.
I'd rather have a thinner enemy deck and just deal with it. Some of the things that we've kind of seen before that I think they really just was awesome. I liked seeing the scheming, which is threat in Arkham, right? Isn't that what it's called? Is it threat in Arkham? Doom and threat in Lord of the Rings. So I liked seeing that come back. It works really well in these games in terms of how it's progressing. So thematically in Marvel, it's the villain and he's scheming, and each turn he schemes, so if you bust that number on the scheme card, he's succeeded. You know, in Arkham, you're getting closer to the, what are they called? The Ancient. Most of the time, you're getting closer to whatever Ancient's bothering you. And in Lord of the Rings, it's the enemy, like, the threat level has come up. So, again, really well utilized in that. And then the side schemes that come out during it, they were
reminiscent of Lord of the Rings with
traveling.
The locations.
Yep, with the locations.
Because it's kind of like you could leave them out and like just let them be there, but they're gonna sit there and they're gonna bug you like crap. So.
And I would also, I would almost say that, well, at least from what we've seen so far, that I feel like almost in Lord of the Rings, there's some of the locations just aren't that bad.
Oh yeah. You could just leave them out there, or you can go to it and it's like no negative effect.
I don't feel like that's the case with this game.
All of these have the...
Every single one has
extra
one
card, can't do the other one, increase the threat or whatever it's called.
Yep. So if you don't remember what Jeb's talking about, one of the schemes says you can't touch the main scheme until this is gone.
Right.
And then the other symbol says you're going to get, at the beginning of the villain turn, you're going to put an extra scheme on the card. And then the last one is deal an extra encounter card.
Yeah, that's nuts.
To during the dealing out of the I think they're calling counter cards in this game. Anyways, it's when the villain deals deals his card. And the other thing, which we've seen in not in Arkham, but we back to Lord of the Rings, was having a base for the villain, and then him getting a boost card to, you know, so his attack always varies. So that means you're never quite sure. Like, when you're looking at him on the table, okay, oh, a 2 attack, that doesn't look too bad. But all of a sudden, a 2 attack could be a 5 attack. And then if he has, you know, any upgrades on him, then that 5 attack just became a 9 attack or whatever. So those boost cards put on the villain were really, really a nice aspect. And keeping them off of the minions keeps the game balanced. If the minions were getting dealt that too, I'm not sure you could win, honestly.
It reminds me of Arkham in the sense that, like, when you like the investigator turn, you're like, oh yeah, we're making progress, and then once the what is it, Mythos phase is over, it's like we're worse off than we were before. So
Definitely.
Because we, in one of our games, we had Rhino coming at us with a +1 attack from the horn, and then a +3 attack with that
Charge.
overkill or
His
whatever.
charge.
Yeah,
He had he had the horn on and the charge, and I think at one point, I don't know if it was one of the we've played a couple times now, but then there was actually one time when he had his armor, his horn, and the charge on all at the same time. So that's, yeah, it's Rhino.
Yeah.
I mean, that was full
That's
on.
just Rhino.
Yeah, that was full on Rhino right there. The other thing with this game is I was watching a video, I think it might have been a Covenant video. They had a FFG rep there, and if you're wondering why the allies in the game like have to take damage when they're out and stuff like that, and this really, really made sense when he explained it. He was like, this game is supposed to be about the hero you pick and the hero that whoever you're playing with picks. It's supposed to be about them and them beating whoever's out there. This game is not about you being able to construct a gigantic army so that you can just go in and plow through it. So when that was explained, all of a sudden it makes sense. So those allies are like, I'm here to help for a little bit, and then I gotta go. Even though, you know, they're taking damage, you kind of should look at it like they're busy. Like it's like they're stopping by, and once they've, you know, done whatever they can for you, then they gotta go. Maybe they'll come back later, and maybe not. But thematically, when you think about it like that, it makes a lot more sense. Plus, if you've played the game, you can probably feel like, yeah, that feels right, and that you shouldn't have, or shouldn't be. I mean, there's nothing to say that you couldn't, but I feel like this game would be relatively difficult if you were able to get. And I think there might be a limit. I think there is a cap of three allies.
The leadership thing has a card that's like
you get extra
increased by 1, yeah.
Which makes sense for leadership.
Right.
But anyways, even if you like, I think the most I've ever had out is 2,
Yeah.
and if you can get 3, that's pretty impressive to just have them sitting there doing kind of nothing for 3 turns.
Right, because they're not high on life. I think Hulk might be the highest with 5.
I think Luke Cage was.
Oh yeah, Luke Cage is pretty high
too. Well, I mean, anyways, the point is they, you know, and then if you've got somebody with that much health, they are such a nice meat shield. So they're not going to live either.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me just look at the back of this and see if I can remember anything else about what I guess. In terms of how the cards are played, definitely a lot different than the other 2. Lord of the Rings was all about attaching stuff to your hero. I mean, literally, it was all about attaching stuff to your hero. Mm-hmm. Arkham, you don't. I mean, you have some equipment and things like that you can play. This one kind of runs the whole gambit other card games that you might play like in a TCG. I mean, you've got stuff that you're gonna you've got stuff that's like directly kind of attached to your hero with the upgrades.
You got the resources,
and you've got the resources you're just gonna play.
Or not resources. What are the things in the back? Like
the support.
Support. That's the word.
Right. So you've got like the support things, and that would be like your Avengers mansion and things like that. And then you've got your allies, which we've talked about before. So you've got all those components that kind of can sit out in front of you and do different things, which is a bit different than the other two games that we've talked about. It's interesting to know that the hit point dial goes up so high. You can only imagine what they might be able to do with that. I mean, if you start thinking Thanos or Galactus or any of those guys, it's like, oh my gosh, how are we going to handle them? They've already announced a villain pack of the Wrecking Crew, and you are going to have to fight all four of them at the same time. I was
reading the page about that, and it's not like they all activate on the same thing each round. It's like one of them activates every round. So it's,
but you still got them all going at the same time, and who knows what's in their deck?
Right.
Like, okay, fine, I'm not activating, but if one of the guys gets their armor and stuff, it's going on them.
Yeah.
So yes, it should be. They got a lot of possibilities with doing that, and
I think they announced Thor as another hero pack.
They did. So far they've got Captain Marvel announced, Ms. Marvel announced, Thor announced, Green Goblin scenario pack, and the Wrecking Crew scenario pack, and they've been teasing what the other months are, and I don't think the first story set comes out until June. I think it's either June or July. Like, it's really late. I was kind of surprised they're waiting that long for the reveal for that. Maybe they're like, hey, let's let the game catch on, and then we'll be able to like have a limited supply at Gen Con, so everybody will go nuts for it.
Well,
that's what
they
do.
Don't wait too long and then give up on it.
Oh, I don't think.
But I think the license is too big for them to.
With as long as Lord of the Rings is gone, and with and the way that Arkham's doing, I think, although it's, I don't know if you're anything like us, Jeb and I have like problems finding people unless there's an event, and then all of a sudden there's these people like, oh, I love this game, and I'm like, where are you guys? Do you live under a rock? Because we thought we were the only ones. So anyways, maybe, like Jeb said, with the size of this license, maybe this will catch on, and maybe some of their other living card games will, get a little bit more. So I've babbled for a long time now, and I don't know if Jeb has anything left to say about it.
Just things to remember. Like, we screwed it up big time once.
Oh my gosh.
And then I went online, and people were also like, yeah, we also forgot this. And one person was like, how could you forget this? It's the first thing on the card.
I know, and it's the first thing you do in Arkham, and it's like,
for some reason in this game, I just always forget it.
You get, I guess you're so hyped to just move into what he's doing that you forget the scheme part of it, and that's what, I don't think Jeb actually said it yet, but that's what he's talking about. The first thing you do is put the scheme on the scheme. What is it? Is that what it is?
The main scheme.
Yeah. And we stupid. We're just not that smart. But actually, that's what I honestly think it is. I think you're just so hyped to get,
because
what's going to happen to
him, and then he's about to do bad stuff to you. So it's like,
it's
back
bring
and
it
forth.
on, right? Yeah. But don't forget to do that, because that is a major way that you lose the game. So if you go a few turns and you didn't do it and you can't recreate it, then if you win, you didn't win.
Yeah.
You didn't win fairly, because in this game, one thwart token on there, or scheme token, whatever you want, could make a big difference in not only the end of the game, but really make a big difference in your decisions. Because when you're looking at that, you're calculating that number and how far away is that other number, and in your head you're like, I feel comfortable with that, and one more could make you uncomfortable with that.
Definitely.
So, that's definitely the big thing to remember, but
The other thing is, most games, when you exhaust a card, you can't really do anything after that. But in this one, if you exhaust your hero, you're still able to flip your hero to the alter ego or vice versa, and you can still play the action
Hero
cards
action
from your hands,
cards.
or alter ego actions.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and we have taught the game, and
Oh,
it
shout
is
out to Keith and his wife, by the way,
Yes.
because we met them at PAX
PAX
Unplugged,
Unplugged.
and we played a 4-player game with them.
And
so.
for us and for them, one of the hardest, like, we kept looking in the rule book just to make sure over and over again. It's like, you can literally do everything you could do before when you're exhausted, except for those basic actions on the card.
Mm-hmm.
So, unless the card says, unless you have a hero action that says tap or exhaust your hero and you're already exhausted, obviously you couldn't do that. But if you're exhausted and you have a hero action card in your hand, you can still do that hero action card. It's just the basic actions that you can't do stuff with.
Right.
So, which is really a good thing, because thinking about it now, if you couldn't do some of that, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I mean, some of it would come down to a timing thing, but it is nice to be able to do it and then do other stuff so you don't forget.
And it's also bad enough that you have to exhaust to do a defense.
Oh yeah, that's just that in itself. It's like
you can't really attack and defend, because you're going into your next turn.
Right.
After you defend, you can't attack, and it's like.
I mean, I think there's one re-ready card in the game right
there
now,
is.
and I don't know if any of the heroes have like personal cards that do it. I can't remember. All the heroes feel really different and feel.
Oh yeah, they did a good job with that.
Yeah, and I feel like they thematically they feel kind of right too. For instance, Spider-Man has a backflip.
Yeah.
And he does the, you can just picture him just jumping over the attack or whatever, and he just gets missed.
Well,
the whole attack just doesn't happen.
Spider sense, when he's in hero form, you get to draw a card. It's like, oh, cool.
That's, because he senses it every single time. Yep.
And then Black Panther, he has like all of his armor pieces that can chain together to do stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool too.
Yep. He has a special card that has to trigger it, but it's still pretty interesting how they came up, and Captain Marvel probably has, like, in terms of resources, she probably generates the most.
And damage output on her is
crazy good. Tony Stark, his character is almost like you have to spend the beginning of the game in alter ego form because you have to build your armor. Like, if you flip him, he goes down to 1 card hand size. So they're basically, and there's an ability that kind of lets you dig through your deck a little bit, looking for the armor pieces. So that's interesting. She-Hulk, as you can imagine, just pummel stuff, and
I think in her alter ego form, she can like also lower scheme and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then when she goes to hero form, it's like she's tearing crap up.
Right, exactly. But she's a lawyer, so
yeah.
So, and then there's one more, right? Don't we have somebody else?
No, I think we covered them all. There's only 5. So.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked about everybody.
Yep.
So again, really good with thinking through, and not, none of the characters, in my opinion, are similar. And then, and this goes to deck building a little bit, which we don't usually talk about, but in this game, you have, your hero comes with a certain set of their cards, and that's a must. You have to have them. And then you get to pick 1 trait. and that's where you can start really kind of,
The
you know,
variety and stuff.
playing around with it. Like, for instance, the leadership trait is what goes with Captain Marvel. Out of the box, that's what they tell you to use. Aggression goes with Iron Man and She-Hulk. And the Black Panther is protection,
Yeah.
and then Peter is Spider-Man is what's the other trait? What's the last trait, Jeb?
The science one? Agility? I don't remember. I don't think I ever said Spider... Well, I did. I put them together. It's the yellow one, isn't it? This
Bothering
is gonna bug
me
you.
now.
Just open it up.
Bothering me now. What is it called? I feel like it's like called loyalty or something like that. That's not right. Do you remember and you're just not saying?
No.
Justice.
Justice.
That was wrong along the right lines. Loyalty, justice, the same thing, right?
Science.
Yeah, because that's not even is that what? Anyways, oh my gosh, this is probably like one of the longest reviews. If you can't tell that we think that this thing's firing on all cylinders, then you know, turn us off, I guess. I mean, I tune Jeb out all the time.
No.
Anyways, all right. So other things to remember, as Jeb always says, and he pointed out the first thing, you have a order card of what to do things in. You have the cheat sheet in there. Follow it until it's in. Just keep following it. Just don't even do the until.
Yeah. I mean, that's what, in our last game, that's what we did. We just had the card
Card
out.
out.
Yep.
And so we didn't miss when we taught it the last time, we didn't miss doing any of it.
Right.
And
so we won fair and square.
Oh my gosh, it was the best game ever. First time we got to play with four people. So we both had our copy, so we had decent decks. It was just like they told you to put them together in the book, except for his, because he already has his built. So Jeb had a little bit better deck, and might have been a reason why Spider-Man wasn't clicking as well as it could have. But that being said, it was down to the wire, and all we did was Rhino again.
We thought we were going to pummel him towards the end, and then in one turn, I think three side schemes,
one personal
and my personal one came out.
Oh no, I was including your personal.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, and it was just everything went to heck.
Yep. And we were just like, we got to swing. Just swing, because we can't recover. Yeah, we can't recover from this. And it just so happened that I think it was a card that he let me draw. I got a Wakanda Forever. The person playing She-Hulk had two uppercuts in their hand, and Jeb was able. Yeah, you did an 8 damage energy attack. So it was epic. It was so good. But anyways, that's besides the point. I can't. Other than going in turn order, I feel like they did a pretty good job of keeping everything clear. The other thing that stumps people is getting used to the resources on the card.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody looks at the top or looks at the type of card, and they're like, what kind of resource do I need to use to pay for this? It's not a kind, it's just a resource.
The only time that you have to...
is if it says.
Yeah, and then it's mostly a bonus, at least on the core set one.
Exactly.
So
they're... mixing those things up is a little bit confusing. And if you don't know what I mean, so say there's a energy resource, which is a lightning bolt, Jeb would call it the lightning bolt, on the card, right? Down in where the resources are, and then the cost is 1. we were watching people look at the card and they see the lightning bolt and they see the cost of one and they think they need a lightning bolt to pay for it.
Right.
And that's not how it works. It's just any other resource and you can play that card. That card itself provides one resource. Right. You know, and vice versa. Which is a really nice mechanic. It's very similar to the mechanics of some of the games where they just have you put cards face down for resources. It's similar.
Right.
Because you just always have access. But doing it this way, they are able to put multiple resources on a card if they want to, making the card even more valuable. So that was the only other thing I can think of that was that I had forgotten about until we started talking about things to remember. Other than that, I mean, typical quality in my opinion for Fantasy Flight. The cards are normal. They're nothing special. I do like the artwork on them. They're not all the same. They at least used different artwork.
How do you like the insert, Mickey?
I hate the insert. I was so excited to see the insert, and then it looks like they're going to sell us dividers, which they didn't put in this box. That was nice of them. So I'm like, okay, so somebody has figured out that a normal size top loader will work as a divider, so you can use those, but it is a little irritating, and no, if you sleeve them, they still don't fit properly. You need some sort of divider in there, and why in the world they're not in there with the base set is just, it just baffles my mind. I mean, it's like, if you would have charged $10 or however much more you were going to charge for them, people would have still bought the thing. But, I mean, I just feel like it's a money grab. I mean, I'm assuming they're coming, so why would they give us a slotted insert if they weren't going to do some kind of divider? But what are you going to do? They're out to make money, and I get that part of it. It's just, I don't know why you have to irritate the fans to make the money, right?
Right.
So
that's all I got. So.
All right, Jeb's not very talkative tonight. He's just
might have talked more than I normally do.
He's just over there drinking a sour beer. So that's all we got for this time. So do your spiel about subscribing and all that stuff.
Subscribe if you enjoyed the video. We've got plenty of other videos up
and
there.
And come on, somebody make us 800 subscribers before the end of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just a lowly couple of guys, one that's a little bit smarter than the other, just trying to get 800 people.
You saw that in the thing. Oh no.
We had somebody at PAX come up and say, "I know you guys. I subscribed." So it was a moment. It was a moment. Shout out to Chris for.
Tried not to let it go to my head.
So,
I was like,
no. So here's what happened.
Mickey.
He didn't see me, but he was talking to Jeb, and then he wanted to know where I was because he knew I was a superstar.
No.
And Jeb was like, he found Jeb, and he was like, "Well, I got to be polite to this guy now." And so I'll talk to him for a little bit, and then I'll seek out the man. And that's what it was.
In Mickey's mind, while he was talking to me, he was probably like, yeah, looking for Mickey in the room.
And then he had to get back to playing Sanctum.
Yeah.
So, anyways, all right. So that's it for Marvel Champions. I hope you guys enjoyed our 5-hour review on it. But we really did like it. If you like this type of game, it's been compared to Sentinels. It's not exactly the same.
Right.
It's similar, but it's not. It's its own thing.
Yep.
I don't know. Was anybody comparing it to anything else?
I haven't really looked.
Okay.
I just know I played Sentinels, I played
An abundance
Lord of the Rings,
of information.
and I played Arkham.
Full of knowledge. It's just incredible right here.
The amount of knowledge that goes in one ear and out the other is crazy.
The Sakawajaka River.
All right. If there's any games you want us to see, let us know. And I think that's it.
All right.
So, see ya.
See ya.
Boards and Booze. Booze and Boards. With Mickey and Jeb.